What's up YouTube, Jason here with Bite My Bits. In today's video, I'm going to be answering the many questions I have received related to the Plex media server in a Linux environment. Or to be more specific, I'm going to answer the most commonly asked question I get. How easy is it to get started on a Linux server with Plex when I don't know anything about Linux? Well, I'm going to gear this video to someone who wants to take the easiest approach to getting a Linux Plex server set up and running. To do it, I'm going to be using the desktop version of Ubuntu, but keep in mind that there are server-based Ubuntu versions and more advanced ways of setting this up. Consider this as more of a how to get your feet wet type of video. To follow along, you will not need to know anything about Linux and should be able to get your server up and running in less than half of an hour. I do plan on continuing this series of Linux-based Plex server videos with more advanced options later, but for now, let's just find out how simple and familiar setting Plex up is on a Linux environment as it is in Windows. To get things going, you will need to download and burn a Ubuntu installation CD or USB. Since this is not a tutorial on how to install Ubuntu, I am going to skip ahead to installing Plex. So of course, the first thing you will need to do is navigate to the Plex website at plex.tv, sign in, and go to the download section. Since I am a Plex Pass holder, which gives me early access to new features, among other things, I will go to the Plex Pass download section. Once here, I will easily find the Linux tab and it will present me with the option of downloading Plex for Ubuntu. Once the download finishes, all you have to do is run it like you would in Windows. The Ubuntu software manager will pop up that will require you to click install from the right-hand side. After you type in your account password, the installation should finish up automatically. Now that the Plex media server is installed on your system, simply click on the Ubuntu search icon in the top left and type in Plex. You should see it pop up under Applications. Click it. From here, you will be in familiar territory. The Plex setup options are almost the same as they are on Windows. You can go through your server settings and see the usual things like logging into your Plex account, setting up remote access, agents and library options, etc. But since we want to get the server up and running, we will skip most of the setup options and go straight to adding a library. I will create a new movies folder inside my public folder just as a demonstration. However, when you set yours up, you will probably use a different location, such as an entirely different hard drive. After I create the movies folder, I can add it as a new library just as I would with Windows. Pretty simple. The only issue here is that my movies folder is empty, so to fix that, I have the unreleased video file for the new Deadpool movie sitting on my desktop. The only way to get this movie right now is to be an elite hacker with deep connections to the dark web, so maybe it's just a demo file. Either way, I will move this demo file to the newly created movies folder I have in my public folder. Once there, I can go back to Plex and tell it to rescan the library. Without any issues, the new movie will show up and be ready for me to play. Before I do that, however, I feel like choosing a different poster and background. I know it's not really needed, but I'm kind of curious about what's available, and maybe I just want to admire the hilariously seductive poses in a spandex suit. Now that that's out of the way, I will go ahead and try to play the file. For some reason it won't play in Firefox, so rather than figuring out why, I just install Chrome and try again. This really is not needed because it's only going to be a server, but I do want to make sure that the transcoder is working, so it kind of had to be done. Getting into Chrome and navigating to the Deadpool movie, I can now click play and watch the demo file through the browser. Now, of course, this is not actually Deadpool, but it will still allow me to test out the transcoder. Keep in mind that this is in a virtual environment, so switching between qualities will be a little sluggish. Without any hiccups though, it does start the transcoder and starts playing in a lower quality. I can even check on it in a different tab to find out that the transcoder is transcoding both the video and the audio. So at this point, I have gotten the Plex media server up and running and I have verified that it's working. But of course, before I can actually use it, I will need to finish setting up things like the remote access and probably log into my account. But this process is the same as it is in Windows, so I won't really worry about showing that here. If you have any questions, ideas, or comments, make sure to leave them in the comments below. Please keep in mind that this video is only to serve as a beginner's guide to setting up a Plex server in the Linux environment. I know that there are better versions of Ubuntu to run as a server and many more advanced options you can use. But to someone who has just built a brand new dedicated server and does not want to pay for Windows, this option could serve as an easy solution, especially if they have no knowledge of Linux and no desire to learn. Also keep in mind that there are other platforms out there like FreeNAS or Unraid that can allow you to install Plex like normal, and you can add some redundant file systems really easily. This is just a basic Linux setup using Ubuntu. So again, stay tuned for those videos in the future. I plan on covering a multitude of different operating systems that somebody can choose to run as their Plex media server. So make sure to like and subscribe below, and thank you for watching.